I was going to render my Chicago Bears schedule video for you guys and giving you my thoughts on the schedule that is the Chicago Bears. But I got to talk about this video first. Things were looking so positive for once. And then we get reminded about how incompetent this Chicago Bears organization truly is. And obviously, we got the negative stuff. So, I'm over here at work, right, working today, and I get an alert from ESPN talking about how Caleb Williams initially didn't want to go to the Chicago Bears, and I'm just like, okay, what the hell is this? What the hell is this stuff? And then I read this, and then I'm just like, well, damn, that's just great. Coincidentally, solid timing, right? So ESPN came out, or Seth Wickersham, who is an ESPN reporter. Um, he came out and had an article from an excerpt from his book that he's coming out that I guess details stuff about the quarterback position, right? And in said book, there's a part about the Caleb Williams situation. So they dive into the Caleb Williams dating back to the pre-draft before he ever got drafted the Chicago Bears. Okay. So let's go through this damn article. All right. Quarterback Caleb Williams was so concerned about being picked by the Chicago Bears in 2024 that he and his family weighed circumventing the entire NFL draft, consulting with lawyers to figure out a way around the league's collective bargaining agreement, while considering signing with, yes, The Rock, the Dwayne Johnson The Rock, who's on my number one hate list because I'm a WWE fan, the United Football League, the UFL. Details from a forthcoming book reveal. Now, his father, Carl Williams, came on and said Chicago is the place quarterbacks go to die. Caleb Williams' father told Seth Wickersham, author of American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, in the months before the 2024 draft. Caleb Williams wondered aloud to confidence, do I want to go there? I don't think I can do it with former Bears offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. The forthcoming book is to be published in September, offers a detailed account of what it means to be a quarterback at various levels from the high school to college to the NFL and what it's like for legends in retirement. It features unprecedented access with dozens of quarterbacks such as John Elway, Johnny Unitas, Warren Moon, members of the Manning family, and Steve Young, amongst others. It also included current signal callers such as Kirk Cousins and Drake May. Additionally, there are also new details inside the ruthless recruitment of Texas quarterback Arch Manning and the youth quarterback circuit. It also chronicles LSU quarterbacks Colin Hurley near-death car wreck in January and subsequent full recovery. Wickersham is an ESPN reporter. His first book on the New England Patriots was a New York Times bestseller. Now, the book ends up offering an inside look at Williams' state of mind. Carl Williams went to great lengths to try to circumvent the NFL draft. Wickersham writes, he wanted to give his son an opportunity to choose his future employee, though while the Bears have not drafted a star quarterback since the 1980s. And the recent draft selections, which were Mitchell Trubisky and Justin Fields, didn't pan out. Now, Carl Williams was worried that with the franchise history, stadium uncertainty, and offensive performances under then head coach Matt Eberflus, Caleb Williams wouldn't have the organizational support to succeed. His father basically said how he didn't want his son playing for the Bears, how he told that to several agents in 2024, and he tried to look for a way around the league's collective bargaining agreement. Carl Williams actually spoke with Archie Manning, and for people who don't know, Archie Manning basically forced the Chargers to not draft Eli Manning, so then the Giants could do that, and that's how Eli Manning ended up being on the New York Giants instead of the San Diego Chargers at the time. Um, Basically, he also met with labor lawyers and agents and even considered whether his son could sign with the United Football League and become an unrestricted free agent in 2025 to be able to pick a team. In addition to the draft process, Carl Williams vented about the rookie wage scale, which could lock his son into a team that drafted him up for up to 8 years. He calculated hundreds of millions of lost market value income. The rookie cap is unconstitutional. Carl Williams told Wickersham, later adding that the CBA is the worst piece of shit I have ever read. It's the worst in sports history. Now, personally, if you ask me, you can go look at the NBA freaking CBA with how they restrict teams of basically saying, well, you got to basically draft and develop. And it hurts teams that really realistically rely on trying to go get superstar players, right? Personally, if you ask me, I think the NBA collective bargaining agreement is fucking terrible, but that's my own opinion, right? But this guy is saying that, hey, NFL is whatever. Anyways, continuing on with this article. After an up and down final season at USC, Caleb Williams was unsure what he wanted to do as he prepared for the 2024 NFL draft. Now, he ended up meeting um, the Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell at the NFL draft combine, and they basically hit it off, and Caleb Williams basically envisioned what it was like to play for the Vikings. He then told his dad, I want to go play for Minnesota. Now, his dad was like, sure, let's go do that. Let's do that. But they basically knew, like, oh shit, the Bears got the first pick. There's no, and this is the second year they got it. There's no shot that they're drafting, or they're trading away the first round pick to a division rival who, let's just be honest, they would probably select Caleb Williams knowing Kevin O'Connell, right? And this is when I guess in one of the meetings that Ryan Poles had with Caleb Williams and his dad, he basically stood his ground, and Ryan Poles said, hey man, I know you may not like us, but we're going to take you regardless whether you like it or not. I'm so sorry. Right? Basically, the article goes on to say that left one option, and that was to publicly attack the Bears and the city of Chicago, hoping that would make the situation unattainable, similar to what Jack and John Elway had done with the Baltimore Colts in 1983. Caleb Williams' father, Carl Williams, said he's worried about me taking bullets. Told Wickersham, I don't care. I just don't agree with this shit, you know. I'm more interested in making sure that he can do what he wants to do. But Caleb was concerned that if he didn't try and the Bears refused to trade him, it would make a tough situation worse. In the end, Caleb Williams told Wickersham, I wasn't ready to nuke the city. After a pre-draft visit to the Bears facility, Williams believed he could be a part of the process to turn the franchise around. I can do it for this team, told his dad. Caleb told his dad. I'm going to go to the Bears. Apparently, the Bears declined to comment about any of this shit that had happened in this whole situation, probably because they don't want to throw their former head coach and their stupid offensive coordinator under the fucking bus to basically fucking reveal how shitty of coaches they were. And also, that would just basically be in the minutes of Ryan Poles failing to do his job, doing the right thing in terms of stopping this head coach and this OC from basically sabotaging your goddamn quarterback. So, coincidentally, I think not. The Bears decided to not be a part of the negativity, even though it's already out there. But they declined to comment. Yeah, that tells me all I need to know about you knew there was something going on in the building that was wrong, and you knew your coaches were having malpractices all over the damn place, but you didn't want to act on it until you knew you had to take care of it because the entire city of Chicago was basically lighting their asses under the fire for not getting rid of Matt Eberflus of a long time ago. The book sheds light on Williams' tumultuous rookie season, in which both Eberflus and Waldron were both fired, and the Bears basically lost 10 straight games. At times, Williams said he would watch film all by himself, with no instruction or guidance from others, and stuff like that. He told his dad, no one told me what to watch. I just turn it on. Caleb Williams played mostly well as a rookie despite the coaching instability. For a year, he completed 62.5% of his passes with 20 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions. He was sacked a league-leading 68 times. And in the meantime, the Bears hired highly respected Detroit Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. In January, speaking to reporters in April, Caleb Williams was excited. Being able to be in this position, being able to have a first year the way I did, ups and downs, and then be able to come in here as confident as I was last year, or possibly even more, and be able to get in here with a group that we have, I really can't wait to get to work with these guys. Him pushing me is key, he said. I know that he knows that. I can't wait to be able to help me learn and everything. So yeah, blah, 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 blah. He's super, super Sharp. I see a chance for greatness here for him. He's been communicated that way, and he feels the same way. I don't know what's gone. Uh, um. Oh, so here's the thing. So after this article came out, Colin Cowherd today had an interview with Ben Johnson, and Colin Cowherd, who also referenced the fact that, well, hey, I'm hearing reports that Caleb Williams' camp does not want to go to Chicago. They've seen the history, they know what that's about. They want nothing to do with Chicago. And that's when, he was kind of told by the Caleb camp, like, hey, we didn't say it like that. And that was probably when Caleb Williams said, hey, I'll give these dudes a chance, right? Right? And that's when, and he basically brought this up to Ben Johnson, saying like, "Hey, Seth Wickersham's article basically nullified that he had these fears of coming to the Bears. I made a mention of my reporting saying that as well, and everything, and what happened that past season and everything." Ben Johnson basically, and basically, he alluded to the phrase to let Ben Johnson know. So like, how are you going to make sure he doesn't get to what he got to last season? Ben Johnson basically said, I see a chance for greatness here for him. He's been communicated that way and he feels the same way. I don't know what's gone on prior to him joining the organization, but he's very proud to be, a Chicago Bear. Johnson told Fox Sports, The Herd, hosted by Colin Cowherd, following publication of the story on Thursday. That's what our conversations have included. He's really excited to get to work right now and be the best version of himself for 2025. So, I just read that entire freaking article. My thoughts on the whole. Okay, what are my thoughts on this whole situation, dude? I always had I wouldn't say a fear, but I always had this thing. Well, what if Caleb Williams does say, fuck the Bears? I don't want to go there because I know what they do to their quarterbacks. They don't help them at all. They put them in the worst position to succeed and are not to succeed, and they end up becoming backup quarterbacks by the time they leave the team, and they're basically nobodies. He's not fucking wrong. You're looking at the last two guys. Look at frickin' Mitch Trubisky. He's basically a career backup. He went to the Bills as Josh Allen's backup. Then he went to the Pittsburgh Steelers to give a legit opportunity. He sucked in Pittsburgh, and he ended up becoming the backup in Pittsburgh, only to go back to be Josh Allen's backup yet again in Buffalo. Justin Fields was the backup in Pittsburgh. He then leaves to go basically now be the starter with the Jets, and he's basically fighting for his NFL starting career with the Jets. Because if he doesn't do good with the Jets, well, he's just gonna be like Mitch Trubisky, a career backup quarterback that's basically, hey, a solid piece that we can have as a solid backup quarterback. We won't win with him, but he'll do good enough for us. Those are the last two Chicago Bears quarterbacks. And then when you look at the last few years, it was a bunch of backup dudes that had nothing to do. Yeah, Jay Cutler, who was the starter, but he was average at best. The only time Jay Cutler was freaking good was probably his early Chicago Bears tenure. And then that one Mark Trestman year where we had one of the best offenses ever. But even then, Jay Cutler's year wasn't that good. Kyle Orton was solid. He was a starter with the Broncos after he got traded for the Bears for Jay Cutler. And even if you go to Jay Cutler, after his time with the Bears was done, he basically rode the couch, played one more season with the Dolphins, and that was kind of it. What else needs to be said? What else needs to be said? So, I'll give Caleb Williams credit. At least the article comes out and mentions, and frankly, he was just concerned about going to the Bears, and frankly, he probably didn't want to go to the Bears. So, here's the thing, him and his dad. Do I blame them? No, I don't. I don't blame them. What has the Bears proven to let a very talented quarterback want to say, I'll choose you guys? No. Not with their fucking history at developing quarterbacks. Because they take the wrong approach. So, of course, myself, I would not want to go to Chicago. So I don't blame them for having their draft aspirations and trying to maybe find a loophole to see, hey, how can we find a way to do this? No, ultimately, Caleb Williams, he didn't want his character to come across like that. That's why he ended up, saying, okay, you know what? Actually, this sounds like a solid thing. Plus, I think he was also let me phrase it right. He was also convinced that he knew, if he knows that if he does really good and he has a successful NFL career in Chicago, the man, for all we know, could be looked as a fucking deity in the city of Chicago. Even if we were not to win a damn Super Bowl in his tenure, and the dude would just set quarterback records as Chicago Bears quarterback, that dude, the moment he would retire as a Chicago Bear, would immediately have a fucking statue outside of Soldier Field or whatever the new stadium will be in years down the road, right? He would have a stadium outside the new Bear Stadium 100%. Because that's how much he would be looked at, applauded at. And don't even get me started if he were to win just one championship and he's an elite quarterback for the Bears. That dude would probably be looked more at than Jordan in his freaking prime. Right now, the king of Chicago is Michael Jordan. If the Bears were to get an elite, all-pro caliber quarterback that gives them even one Super Bowl championship, that quarterback is going to be supplant Michael Jordan as probably the greatest Chicago sports athlete, and he would be looked as a fucking deity. He would be looked as a god. Because that's the only thing we Bear fans want. We just want elite quarterback play where we know we're down 14 points. This guy's going to get in the damn zone and he's going to lock in and he's going to bring us down the field and he's going to put up freaking 21 points to help us go win this game. That's the type of quarterback we strive for. That's why I'm saying Caleb Williams, is he's successful in Chicago and he's elite and he even gives us a damn championship. Look, I think Michael Jordan's the GOAT of basketball. But if Caleb Williams were to do all that, he'd be looked as he would just need to get one, and be elite. And he would be looked like as a god in that city. A god. And that's what I think intrigued him the most. Because he knows if I do good in this city, I'll be forever loved. And trust and believe. And even though my uncle says, he don't like giving quarterbacks crazy amount of money, please, if the Bears know that the dude's elite, they'd basically mortgage their entire organization to make sure he stays in Chicago. So that's the thing there, man. So do I blame him and his dad for not trying to find any other way to maybe get out from the Bears drafting him? No, I don't. I do applaud Ryan Poles for basically telling them to their faces, I don't give a crap. You may not like wanting to come here. We're still going to take you because you like it, whether you like it or not, you're still entered into the draft. And you may not have to like it, but we're going to take you. And honestly, that's why I applaud. That's why I would applaud. That's why I applaud any teams. That's why I applaud any teams in the draft who, regardless, the hell are you going to do? And typically, the worst team in the league is going to be picking first. So, what if the Bears didn't get the first round pick? What if it was some other team? Would Caleb Williams try to back his way out of that way? No. Again, like I said, I don't blame Caleb Williams and his dad not wanting to come to Chicago because of the history. But at the end of the day, the draft is the draft. And if a team calls your name out there and they call you up and say, hey, we're taking you, you got to just accept it and deal with it. Plain and simple. And I respect Caleb for not wanting to say, I don't want to put the city of Chicago on fire like that. Hearing that makes me like him more because it's like, he gave us a chance. He said he gave us an opportunity. And he knows, no, I want to give these dudes a chance. I don't want to light their entire city on fire. And then, for all intents and purposes, guess what? Maybe and who knows? Maybe would envision he'd be looked as the bad guy. One, not only is the entire city of Chicago would hate him, maybe the national media is like, see, you're not that tough of a guy. You're just gonna back your way out because you don't want to go there and try to turn around that organization. So I respect Caleb saying, no, I want to be a Bear. I'm not gonna nuke and do it to this city. I want to try to own it up to this city and try to provide them what I need to be provided with or provide them with. That's why I was drafted here. Plain and simple. So I'm okay with that. Now, I'm really trying not to dive in on last year's crap with Eberflus and Waldron. I think we said it before and we'll say it again. It's clear those guys should have never been employed by the Bears in the 2024 season. I said it before and I'll say it again. You can go back and you can go check my videos. I even said this to my Uncle Daryl. I said that if the Bears are going to draft a quarterback, fire Matt Eberflus. Do not bring him back if you're going to draft a quarterback because you're going to be stuck. You're going to waste a year because you want to trust Mr. Deadbeat head coach, who we all knew should have been fired. Every Bear fan, every Chicago media outlet, they knew he should have been fired. The Bears brass didn't think. Again, we still don't know who was the number one decision maker in bringing back Ryan Pohl and bringing back Matt Eberflus. My best case is it was probably a combination of George and Ryan Poles. That's my only best guess. Definitely George McCaskey, 100%. He did not want to fire a coach 2 years after he became the head coach. Ryan Poles, I don't think he wanted to fire him because he wanted the continuity and he 100% believed, though, we just got to make an upgrade at the quarterback position and we'll be fine. And clearly you were not. And also the fact that he also approved on Eberflus's okaying of hiring Shane Waldron. The fact that Caleb Williams had to watch film by himself and basically study by himself, and he still put up the stats he did. I can only imagine what this man does with Ben Johnson 100% being on his ass. It's an indictment. It's even more of an indictment on Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron of how bad they did at their fucking jobs. Eberflus is the head coach. How are you not watching film with your young rookie quarterback to help him? Same goes for Shane Waldron. Remember in Hard Knocks that awkward like film session Eberflus had with freaking Caleb? There you go. There you go. The moment where Shane Waldron is on again against the Patriots. Shane Waldron's on the bench saying like, wow, come on. It's all right, guys. We're down 19-3. Don't worry. We'll get him next time, guys. Next drive, we'll get down and score a touchdown. And that was a great play, right, Caleb? And Caleb's over here just like, and Shane Waldron's like, that was the incompetence that Caleb Williams had to deal with last year. A head coach who wasn't really a boss. He was more of a freaking little scaredy cat, little crybaby bitch. Yeah, I said it. Here's what he came across like. Had a bitch-like personality. Jalen Johnson made sure of that. Because Jalen Johnson, when he basically called him out, I think after the Lions game, he basically took it and just walked out. That's a bitch-like attitude. He just took it and he walked out with his walk of shame. And then you had numbskull Shane Waldron who didn't know what to do, yet he had the experience qualified to be a solid offensive coordinator, but he came here, he didn't know what the hell to do. Again, at my last job, one of my freaking coworkers basically told me, you don't want Shane Waldron. He ain't that good. Jackson Smith Njigba warned us about Shane Waldron on the CHGO podcast. Talking about, yeah, he all right. Good luck. Just good luck. You'll need it. And this guy acted like as if he never called a play in his fucking life. And honestly thought he was worse than Luke Getsy. And Luke Getsy didn't know anything. It just goes to further show you how incompetent and how dysfunctional that coaching staff was. And remember, Keenan Allen made a point last year that the moment they got to OTAs, the players were just like, the fuck is wrong with this Shane Waldron character? He don't know what he's doing. OTAs of last year. And you as the GM can't see that? You're in the building every single day in the same Hallis Hall with the coaching staff. You're not looking at the practices from afar and seeing like, hey, it's looking good. You're not watching the games. You just got that dumb look, like as if you're not knowing what to do. And you're not telling me you did not know the dysfunction that was going on with your rookie quarterback? You didn't stop to think. And Ryan Post asked Caleb, hey, how you doing? Seriously, tell me what's going on in the locker room. Be honest with me. Tell me, is Coach Eberflus and Coach Waldron helping you? Now, maybe Caleb Williams did have that conversation with Ryan Poles. And maybe Ryan Poles told him, hey, man, I want to get rid of him. But the head man upstairs is saying no. That I'm doing everything I can. Just hold on. Hold on. But see, after the day, a few days, the Monday after the Lions game on Thanksgiving weekend, clearly Poles and Warren got into George's mind and said, hey, man, this ain't going to cut it. This guy is not good. And if you want to be an upstanding organization, it's time to cut the cord when things are getting crazy and terrible. And right now, we've hit rock bottom. We need to get him out of the building right now. Because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. And maybe Ryan Poles told George that fear. Hey, man, we keep this guy a whole year and we fire him at the end of the year, we're going to lose our young quarterback, man. He's going to want out. And luckily, they convinced George to change the ways of the organization and be different. And they actually made a substantial change in firing a head coach in the middle of the season. After firing their OC in the middle of the season, something they've never done. This further goes to show you how dysfunctional this organization under the Eberflus era truly was. And it even goes back to the case. Was Justin Fields getting this type of coaching malpractice? Was he having to watch the film on his own with no guidance? Was Eberflus really just happy that he got the head coaching gig and he just didn't put any of the time and the effort into being an actual head coach? He just coasted along with the ride because he got all these perks of being a head coach? Clearly, it sounds like he only did that. And also, too, it clearly shows me the reason why he wasn't helping Caleb out with the film sessions and including Shane Waldron. It was kind of that mode of CYA, cover my ass, so I don't get fired. But guess what? When you get to that type of behavior of, I'm going to cover my ass, and I'm only going to do shit that only will benefit me, as long as I call this defense good, I should be able to stay here. No, you're the head coach. You're not a defensive coordinator. If you want to be a defensive coordinator, you should have never left Indianapolis. They were in CYA mode, and guess what? They still got their asses fired. Honestly, I think Ryan Poles is in cover my ass mode right now. And this is even more, this article is even more of a indicament on Ryan Poles. How do you not see this happening from your head coach and your offensive coordinator to your quarterback that you basically proclaim, it doesn't matter. We are going to take you. How much incompetence is it on the GM for not providing Caleb Williams with an adequate enough offensive line? Adequate enough coaching. He certainly gave him the weapons to work with, but outside of that, he didn't do nothing for him. The same exact thing he didn't do anything for Justin Fields. He didn't give Justin Fields an offensive line. He didn't give Justin Fields adequate coaching. And the only other thing different from Caleb Williams and Justin Fields is he didn't give Justin Fields the necessary weapons to potentially be successful outside of DJ Moore in his final year as a Chicago Bear. When is eventually it's plain and simple. The onus in the hot seat goes back to Ryan Poles. I'm of this belief the Bears have another lackluster season. Ryan Poles is gone. They're going to fire him and say, yeah, sorry, but not sorry. You're not good enough for us. Thank you and shut the door. Hey, Ben, who's the guy that you know in your circle that you want to be the GM of the team? Okay, yeah, here you go. Because I 100% believe that Ben Johnson is calling the shots. Because they gave him enough power in the organization to get him to come here. Clearly, because they're paying him a lot of money. So that's what I 100% believe, man. That's what I 100% believe. It's it's absolutely asinine that all this shit happened to this dude in one season. And the fact that the Bears hiring Ben Johnson may have saved this dude from probably, dare I say, demanding a trade from this organization this offseason if we didn't get the coach right. Plain and simple. Ben Johnson is here. And honestly, again, as much as we had to go through whatever the hell last year happened, I'm glad that it all ended up to us getting Ben Johnson to come here and hopefully turn this whole ship around, turn Caleb Williams around, and turn this organization into the winner we need this organization, this city needs out of the Chicago Bears. So again, so far it looks like it's all worked out. I can't believe something like this obviously came out at this point in time. We have a week before OTAs. So I bet you when Caleb Williams takes the podium for the first time since the NFL draft, he's definitely going to be asked questions by the reporters about this article. I would envision the PR team is going to talk to him and say, hey, man, this article came out. I don't know if you've been in the news and you've seen the headlines. I would envision he's seen the headlines already at this point. I think he knows. I think his campus talked. I think he and his dad talked about how to address this for the media. Now, I can see where Caleb downplays that and say, hey, look, I'm here. If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here. But I'm here. Plain and simple. And he can easily say what happened last year, that's what happened. Last year is last year. Right now, I'm focused on the 2025 season, and that's it. Personally, what he should say is, if somebody asks the question, be like, look, I'm going to comment on this one time. I'm going to look, I understand. I heard the article came out, but this is going to be the only question I'm going to take about this thing. I'm going to say my piece about that, and then I'm just going to take and field questions in regards to this upcoming season, how practice went today, and stuff like that. Now, if I was the PR guy, that's what I would be telling Caleb Williams. Just be like, hey, man, look, because we don't want shit to blow over PR-wise, whoever asks you the question first, answer that question to the best of your availability. If you want to be a little bit more honest, go right ahead, be honest. Don't give up the entire, life story and stuff like that, but be honest as you can and everything, right? But make sure you let the entire media room know this is the only time I'm going to answer any questions regarding that. Any other follow-up question will be a next question mindset, and I will be looking for the next reporter who will be asking me about practice, how practice went today, my expectations for the season, yada yada yada, right? Plain and simple. If I was the PR guy, that's what I tell Caleb Williams. Answer one of the questions, and after that, you let the media know I'm not answering any more questions at this point in time. At that point in time, what's happened in 2024 happened. It's done with. I'm not focused about that. I want to focus about 2025. If anybody of you guys have any questions in regards to how practice went and stuff like that and how it's great to be back in the building, let me know. But if you have any questions about what happened last year and that article Mr. Wickersham posted, I'm not going to be taking any questions. I will move on to the next people. And I want to be respectful of your time as much as I know you guys want to be respectful of my time. Plain and simple. And honestly, that's how you address a situation is that. But I would envision, hopefully, the Bears, that's what they tell him. They don't address that. I'd rather hear from Ryan Poles when it comes to this questions about that instead of Caleb Williams. But I just hope Caleb Williams lets the media know, look, what happened last year happened. I'm not focused on 2024. I'm focused on 2025. I appreciate the question, but I'm not going to take any answers at this point in time. In regards to that matter. So, regardless, it's a damning piece. It shows the incompetencies of the Chicago Bears, how they've been run, especially under Eberflus. But hopefully with Ben Johnson, he steers the team in the right direction. He's got them going on the right foot. So we know we're good. We are good. But that's my thoughts on the Seth Wickersham article. I ain't gonna read this damn book. I bet you when this book comes out, I'll take some pieces about it, talk about it, make a freaking video about it, right? And talk about any other crap that went in depth. And it's funny because the whole thing about him watching film by himself, I think came from a reporter down in Jacksonville by the name of Taylor Dahl, right? Who basically reported about Caleb Williams is watching film by himself. Well, her point was completely proven true. So, yeah, man. And again, like I said, that man was watching film by himself and he put up the numbers he did. Lord have mercy if Ben Johnson, with Ben Johnson being on his ass 24/7. That just tells me he can only play much better than he did last year, which means there's still a lot of untapped potential he didn't he missed out on because he had inadequate coaching. This also should, just for all intents and purposes, again, I don't know why Eberflus still has a job. I don't even know. I think Shane Waldron has a job in the NFL. I don't know what he's doing. But those guys should not have jobs in the NFL ever again. That's what I'm saying. You'll hear my schedule breakdown. That's a game, Cowboys week 3. The Bears better beat Eberflus. Because if they lose to Eberflus and they have Eberflus get the upper hand, then I'm going to be pissed. That's a game that I want the Bears to win so they can shove it in Eberflus's fucking face. Anyways, let me go for guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video. We'll talk more Bears content as the season gets started up and stuff like that and things like that. But till then, guys, stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your day or your night. I'll turn this video. Until then, guys, peace.